Hello and welcome to today's Delta Credit Tip. So, what do you do when you want to buy a house but you don't have any credit at all? Well, stay tuned. We're going to fill you in on just how you can do that on today's Delta Credit Tip. Hello and welcome back to today's Delta Credit Tip. So, we had a request from a watcher here on YouTube to ask, what do you do when you want to buy a house and you don't have any established credit? This is a serious conundrum. We're going to answer that question today. Hopefully you'll find this information helpful. If so, give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that every week as we come out with more information to help you in your credit restoration process, you get that information as we produce it. You can use it right away and it helps you in a prompt manner. So let's talk about what are you going to do when you got zero credit trying to buy a house. The thing is that most lenders want to see some kind of track record, right? And if you don't have anything, well, that looks kind of bad. But how do you get credit when you have no credit? Well, the key to that is simply understanding what the lender wants. We tell all our customers all the time there's a significant difference between having good credit and being lendable. And this being lendable piece is the key to understanding as to how you can get that mortgage with little to no credit. Right? And it starts with being able to communicate with your lender. If you don't happen to have a lender that you can communicate with on a regular basis, that's okay, because guess what? I do. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go talk to one of our lenders. We're going to figure out just what we need to do to get into that house. So stay tuned. We're going to go hop in a hoopy and go visit a lender. Okay, and we're back. So I'm here with my friend Bryant Williams of Fairwind's Credit Union to hopefully add a little bit of clarity on this whole subject of, well, what do I do to qualify for a mortgage when I got nothing? I'm coming to the table with nothing, right? So first off, Bryant, does it even matter?
Yes, it does. So credit is very important. The biggest thing about credit is understanding that credit is a way that the bank it tells your story to the bank. Mm-hmm. So we know who we're dealing with because we don't know you in person. Right. So when we see you on paper, that's your credit report, and that's why it's so important. Perfect example. It makes a big difference on what you're paying, mm-hmm. Your end results on your mortgage payment. Great example is if you have a 750 credit score as opposed to a 650 credit score, mm-hmm. the rate on your mortgage, it's the difference between having, let's say, 4.5% and a 5.5% interest rate.
Oh wow! So it's that big of a difference.
It's that big of a difference. Your PMI payment is based on your credit report. It's based off your credit score. So the difference on that situation or that scenario, it's the difference between having $99 PMI payment or a $289 PMI payment.
And that PMI payment is the insurance you've got to pay the bank in case you default, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's your private mortgage insurance.
So really, the credit score can affect not only your rate, but the private mortgage insurance. It can affect how much you pay over the life of the loan. I mean, it can affect a lot of things.
Yeah, on a $200,000 loan, mm-hmm. on a $200,000 mortgage, that's a difference of $52,000.
Wow. Okay, so it matters.
It matters a lot.
Right. So I'm coming to the table and I got really nothing as far as history, right?
Okay.
I'm straight out of college, or I just never really cared to have credit. I didn't want a credit card. I didn't want the debt. I paid my cars in cash because cash is king.
Right.
But now I'm trying to borrow $200,000 because I don't have that in a mattress, right? So what do I do? Is there any kind of alternative thing that you can look at as a bank that says, okay, I'm still a good investment even though I don't have a story to tell?
Yes. So great question. The thing is we have some lenders that let you do what's called alternative credit. Mm-hmm. And what that's going to be is they're going to be able to take your rent, the rent that you're paying, mm-hmm. and apply that towards your credit report. Your utility bills, they can take up to 2 of them. It might be a TICO and a water bill, mm-hmm. To apply to your credit report. Now the key is it has to be in your name.
All right,
obviously. You'd be surprised. I've had that question though.
Yeah, my cousin Joe, man.
Right. Yeah, it's not in your name though. But so you have alternative options as far as credit. Once again, like I said, it's going back to telling your story. I don't know you. All I got is application saying that you want me to give you $200,000, and the only thing I could go by is your credit report, and nothing's there.
So if I wanted to use my rent history, how do I do that?
Two ways. There are two ways you can do it. The lender, some lenders have those actual programs that they can use alternative credit, and they will take care of that for you. You'll get your rental history from your leasing company, and a copy of the lease. You give that to the lender, and then they will be able to get that done through the credit agency as an alternative trade line. Okay. And then also some apartment complex report to credit. I think MMA does. That's who I had used before I bought my house. And they actually report to credit. And then some of them you can actually pay, I think it's an extra $10 a month,
right,
to have them report to your credit.
So something you might want to ask your apartment complex or property manager or whatever.
Go down there to the leasing office. Yeah, and if you rent from a property manager, you can ask the property manager if that's an option.
Now, recently they've had this thing where you can start to report your own rental history. Is that really affecting your decision making at this point?
Yeah. So basically what happens is you have to look at it as it has to be a non-arm's length transaction. And what that means is it has to be a third party that has no interest in the deal that's reporting you.
Well, the deal that they have now, though, is that I'm self-reporting my rental payments in this new boost thing that Experian and Xbox One have. From what I understand, it's not really affecting the mortgage scores anyway, but I didn't know if it's really going to affect, for those people with thin files or no credit history, are they able to use that as an easy way to get to that alternative credit?
Now, that'd be based on a lender. Because, like I said, it's going to be based on a lender, because if they want to even allow you to use alternative credit, it's up to the lender. Now, however, I can tell you that mortgage credit reports are looked at a lot different than, say, somebody trying to apply for a credit card.
Right.
Yeah. So what'll happen is, just because it shows up, or somebody you apply for a credit card and you had an 820 credit score, and we pull your credit on the mortgage side, and your credit is 725.
Because looking at different things, though.
Right. Because we weigh our decision on different trade lines in different areas.
So if I'm going into this situation and I've got a very thin file, I don't have much history, but I can get the rental history to the best of my ability. There's a lot of other stuff that you look at too, right?
There is.
So what are some of the other things that I need to make sure that I've got in place on top of that 2-year trade line history, if I don't have it, that I can do to help get over that underwriting hump?
Great question. So some of the things that you want to start thinking about are compensating factors.
Okay.
A lot of the compensating factors, there are 3 things that I always tell everybody: credit, asset, and value. Okay. So biggest thing is if your credit file is thin, you gotta make the lender feel good about, more confident about why I should give you this money.
Right.
Okay. So that's going to come with your down payment. If you can put more down and you have a thinner credit file, but the more you put down, that's the more skin you have in the game. So you're less of a risk.
Okay.
The other thing is showing, hey, I have assets in the bank. I have 401k. I have savings. I have a couple savings accounts. I have money to show that, hey, if things go bad, I lose my job, I still have 6 months of payments. I have reserves.
Right.
And that's one thing that we look at, and it makes us feel comfortable. So if I'm going to the underwriter on your behalf, and she's like, hey, well, Bryant, Mike only has this, and we had a collection here, but we see he was on path. He's been making his payments, but his score is right. We're teetering with it. Can we make the exception to get there?
Right.
That exception is going to come from where's the loan to value. So if you're doing a refinance, are you trying to take all the cash out? That makes us nervous. If you're not, and you're just trying to get a lower rate, okay, well, that's a compensating factor. You have assets in the bank. You have money sitting there. We know, we see it. We have your bank statements. Everything's great. That's another compensating factor. The fact that you've been on your job. Honestly, if you're W-2 and you've been on your job 10 years, that's a compensating factor.
Right.
You have 401k. We see, hey, that means that you've been vested into this company, and you're vested. You're trying to get to the retirement point. We see that. That's what's going to be another compensating factor.
Right. So being able to show that you got all your other stuff in order, even though you haven't established any credit, that establishing of the credit looks to be just like a choice, not, well, I just couldn't get it. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you just got to look at, you just got to remember, I guess, the end result is you're trying to convince somebody to give you their money.
Somebody who does not know you.
Somebody that does not.
It has to look good on paper.
Has to look good on paper. Great. Well, I appreciate you coming out and explaining this to our customers. Again, Bryant Williams over at Fairwind Bank, based out of Orlando, right?
Yes, we are.
Based out of Orlando. So hopefully this information helps. If so, give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that every Thursday, as we come out with more information to help you in your credit restoration process, you get it right out of the gate. Again, thank you again, Brian.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time, and hopefully this will help you make a choice, make a change. Delta.